The storm had rolled in fast over the Wyoming hills, turning the sky a brooding shade of charcoal. Thunder cracked like ancient bones, and the wind whispered secrets through the pine trees surrounding Silverwind Hollow. Inside the attic of the sprawling ranch house, the air was thick with dust and memory. The floorboards groaned under the weight of time, and the boots of Bo Carter, a man built of silence and stone. At 34, Bo had the worn hands and striking gray eyes of someone who'd seen more than most men twice his age. It had been 3 years since his wife died in a tragic riding accident, and still the house echoed with her absence. Bo had taken to the land for solace, letting the rhythm of ranch life keep his heart from crumbling entirely. But on this day, the rain kept him inside, and so did something else, something unexplainable, that drew him to the attic. Among the moth-eaten quilts and broken picture frames, he found it, a small tin box tucked away beneath a pile of forgotten things. Its latch stuck at first, then gave with a sigh. Inside, a neat bundle of letters tied with a ribbon once blue, now faded to gray. He held them reverently, like sacred scripture. The letters were addressed to a woman named Delilah. "My dearest Delilah," one began, "the nights are colder without your touch. I see you in the sunrise in the sway of the grass. If only the world had been kinder." Bo sat on the attic floor, thunder booming above, the words from his grandfather, Elijah Carter, unfolding like petals from the past. He read every one, and when he was done, his chest ached with a longing not even his own. The name Delilah meant nothing to him, but the love in those letters, that was something he recognized, and it wouldn't let him go. With help from a local librarian, Bo traced Delilah's lineage to a woman in Denver, Jasmine Monroe. She was 30, an award-winning event planner known for her precision, grace, and an eye for beauty. When he called, she was skeptical. "Who is this?" Her voice had been guarded. "My name's Bo Carter. I live in Wyoming. I found something that belongs to you. Letters, love letters, written to your grandmother, Delilah." There was a pause on the line. "I didn't know my grandmother had a love story." Bo's voice softened. "There's a lot of love in these pages, ma'am. Figured you might want them returned proper." She hesitated, then said, "I'll come." When she arrived days later, Bo saw her step out of the car, mid-length curls catching the sun, light brown eyes glowing with curiosity and tiredness. She wore city boots, expensive and impractical for gravel roads. "You must be Bo Carter," she said. "I reckon I am," he replied. "You Jasmine?" "Call me Jazz." He offered her the old guest room, once his parents', long since repurposed and freshly aired out for her visit. "It's got a view of the sunrise," he said, setting a clean towel by the bed. "Quiet out here. Might take some getting used to." Jazz smiled softly. "I think quiet is exactly what I need right now." She hadn't told him yet, but she just ended a long relationship, one filled with empty promises and city pressure. She wasn't ready to return to that life. Not yet. In the attic, she read the letters aloud beside Bo. Her voice trembled as she came to the last line, "Meet me under the aspen tree by the creek. If you come, we start anew." Bo took her there. The tree still stood, tall and silver, leaves whispering. Beneath it, they found a rusted pocket watch. Time, it seemed, had waited. Jazz stayed longer than she planned. She made up a reason to delay her return to Denver, something about finishing a wedding proposal remotely, but really she craved the peace, the slowness. She helped with small ranch chores, mucked stalls and borrowed boots, tried, unsuccessfully, to make biscuits, laughed when the rooster chased her across the yard. They visited the local library together to research the letters, combing through old archives and clippings. The town noticed them, a tall, solemn cowboy and a glowing city girl, shoulder to shoulder by the microfiche. Bo found himself waiting for her laughter. Jazz began waking early, setting up her laptop by the window, her workdays folding gently into the rhythms of ranch life. Without realizing it, they were building something, a shared coffee routine, stolen glances over breakfast, a rhythm. One evening, after a long day and a simple dinner of grilled steak and vegetables, they sat together on the porch swing. The sky was painted with lavender streaks, and the air held the earthy scent of horses and hay. Bo brought out a bowl of homemade vanilla bean ice cream he had whipped together. "Didn't think you'd be the kind of man who made ice cream from scratch," she teased, digging her spoon in. He chuckled. "My mama taught me well. We didn't have store-bought much growing up." They began swapping childhood stories, Jazz's tales of dance recitals and roller skates on sidewalks, Bo's memories of calf roping and being chased by an ornery goose named Bessie. Jazz laughed, tossing her head back. "You had a goose named Bessie? She guarded the barn better than any dog, Bo said, grinning, taking a bite of ice cream. Jazz laughed again, so hard a tear slid down her cheek. She scooped another spoonful but missed her mouth slightly, leaving a smear of vanilla on the corner of her lips. Bo reached out instinctively, thumb brushing gently to wipe it away. But his fingers lingered, sliding down to the curve of her lower lip. Her laughter faded. The air between them shifted. He looked at her, eyes dark and stormy. "You have no idea what you do to me." Her breath hitched. "I want to feel every inch of you," he whispered. "Hold you so close the world disappears. But," she swallowed, her eyes searching his, "but you deserve better than a porch swing and a bowl of ice cream. You deserve right. You deserve forever." Neither spoke for a while. The wind rustled the trees, and something unnamed was born between them, a yearning they both felt but feared to name. Then came the final letter. Jazz found it hidden in an envelope's lining. Delilah's handwriting. "I couldn't tell you, Elijah. I was pregnant. My parents sent me away. I named her Hope. I never stopped loving you." Jazz stared. She whispered, "That's my mother's name." Bo froze. "Are you saying we're—" "I don't know," she whispered. The next morning she moved to a bed and breakfast in town. Needed space, needed time. The hurt was quiet but deep. Bo couldn't rest. He dove into records, local history, hospital archives. Then he found it, an old note from Delilah's diary. She had fallen pregnant before her family sent her away, but due to family pressure, she was forced to give the baby up. Delilah gave her daughter the middle name Hope, a small act of love to hold on to her, while whoever adopted her could choose the first name. However, years later, she struggled with fertility and decided to adopt instead. They found Jasmine's mom, Hope, when she was an infant through the adoption agency, and Delilah believed in her heart. It was meant to be. Relief crashed into him like river breaking through a dam. Surprise, hope, another chance. Heart-pounding, Bo drove to the bed and breakfast. "I found something," he told Jazz, rain misting on his hat. Hope was a middle name. Delilah's way of holding on to her daughter after she gave her up. When she found your mother through the adoption agency, she adopted her because of her name. You're not Elijah's kin. Jazz called her mother that night. "Mom, I need to ask you something. Did you know anything about being adopted?" There was a long silence. "Yes," her mother finally said. "I never knew the full story, but I always felt different, like someone was missing, like my story didn't start where I thought it did." Jazz's voice broke. "Grandma had a daughter she was forced to give away. Her middle name was Hope." Her mother wept softly. "I always wondered, thank you for uncovering this baby." Tears fell, relief, pain, wonder all at once. She returned the next morning. The ranch quiet except for the wind sliding over the fields and the faint creak of the barn door in the breeze. The kitchen smelled of fresh coffee. Bo stood at the sink, tense, shoulders hunched as he stared out the window. He didn't hear her steps until she was already behind him. Jazz stepped closer, voice trembling but steady. "All my life I thought Hope was just a middle name my grandma gave me. But it was more than that. It was Delilah's way of holding on to the baby she had to give up. My mom, she didn't know she was adopted, but she was. Delilah couldn't have children later in life, and when she and her husband adopted a baby girl, they named her Hope, a quiet tribute to the daughter she'd lost. That little girl was my mom." She looked up at Bo, her eyes glassy but fierce. "So, I'm not Elijah Carter's blood. I was never part of that line, but I've always been Delilah's, in every way that matters." Bo turned. His face, usually so composed, looked raw with emotion. "You came back," he said, breath catching. "I kept thinking if there was even a chance we were blood, I'd have to let you go." His voice broke. "But I didn't want to. God, Jazz, I didn't want to." Jazz crossed the kitchen slowly. Her hands trembled as she reached for him. "You don't have to," she whispered. Then she kissed him. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't tentative. It was full of everything they had tried to hold back: fear, longing, hope, hunger. She reached for his shirt, gripping the fabric, and he lost the last thread of restraint. Bo groaned low in his throat and pulled her close, his hands finding her waist, then her hips. He walked her backward, not breaking the kiss, until her back hit the edge of the kitchen table. The jolt made her gasp into his mouth, and he used that moment to deepen the kiss, tilting her head and taking more of her. His lips trailed down her jaw, then her throat. He found the hollow beneath her collarbone and pressed a kiss there, his stubble scraping her skin, his breath hot and unsteady. Her fingers slid into his hair. His hands ran up her sides, thumbs brushing just beneath the hem of her blouse where soft skin awaited him. She arched into his touch, wanting more, needing more. But then he stilled. He pulled back just an inch, just enough to rest his forehead against hers, both of them breathless, trembling. "I want you," he said hoarsely. "God, I want all of you." Jazz's lips were swollen from his kiss. Her hands still held him. "Then take me," she whispered. But Beau's hands only tightened on her waist. "Not like this, not rushed, not against a table in my damn kitchen. When I have you, Jazz, it's going to be the right way. With the sky above us, your hand in mine, your name next to mine." She closed her eyes, tears rising, not from disappointment, but from something deeper, respect, reverence, love. They stayed there, wrapped in each other, breathing in everything they were too afraid to name, until naming it no longer mattered. A month later, Beau led Jazz out to the old aspen tree. The sun hung low over the hills, casting golden light over the land. The leaves above them shimmered in the breeze like whispers of old promises. Jazz wore a flowing linen summer dress the color of cream, her curls loose around her shoulders. She looked like a dream against the wildflowers and fading light. Beau dropped to one knee. "I found it in a floorboard," he said softly, wrapped in cloth beneath the old hope chest. He never got the chance to give it to Delilah. He opened the box. The ring gleamed with vintage elegance, rose gold filigree surrounding a teardrop sapphire, flanked with 2 tiny diamonds, worn by time, preserved by love. "I lost once," Beau said, "and I thought that was it. I was done. But then you showed up, and I found a love I didn't think I'd get twice in this life. I'm overwhelmed, grateful, praying this time, this one, this is forever." Tears streamed down Jazz's cheeks. She dropped to her knees before him. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, Beau Carter." Years passed, as softly as snow melts in spring. Jazz and Beau built a life of love, laughter, and grounded joy. She brought color to his routine. He brought peace to her fire. Together they learned balance. They planted gardens, hosted weddings beneath the aspen tree, raised cattle and hope in equal measure. They grew stronger, weathered losses, learned forgiveness, held each other through storms of the heart and sky alike. Their love was not perfect, but it was true. Now, on a warm spring afternoon, a soft breeze curled through the fields. The porch swing creaked gently. Beau sat beside their 4-year-old son, Wyatt, helping him fix a wooden toy truck they'd built together. "Like this, buddy," Beau said, guiding the small fingers. "See? Twist it slow." Jasmine watched from the porch swing, heavily pregnant, her hand resting on her belly. She wore a soft cotton dress and crocheted carefully, the beginnings of a baby blanket pooling in her lap, mint green and cloud white. They didn't know the gender, didn't want to. Some things were better left a mystery. Jazz smiled, the sight of her son and husband filling her with quiet awe. Beau glanced over and caught her eye. "You good, darling?" She nodded. "More than good." He smiled. "We did all right, didn't we?" Jazz looked at the horizon where the land stretched wide and unbroken, then at the man who'd brought her back to life. "We did better than all right," she whispered, and beneath the whispering aspens, love lived on. Sometimes love doesn't come when we expect it, but when we need it most. And often, the things we think are buried in the past hold the very keys to our future. Beau and Jasmine's story reminds us that healing takes time, that love can rise again from the ashes of heartbreak, and that we are never too lost to be found. If this story touched your heart, made you believe in second chances, or simply gave you a moment of peace, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story that stirs the soul. Thank you for listening to Porchlight Stories, and remember, sometimes all it takes is one letter to change everything.